There's always one iPhone upgrade that doesn't look flashy in the first photo, but ends up changing the entire experience. Not the new titanium color, not the camera bump shape, not even the fastest chip ever headline. If the latest iPhone, 18 Pro. Max leaks are even close to accurate. Apple's biggest move this year could be something most people won't notice until the moment they lose signal. Because Apple may be getting ready to make your mobile carrier feel optional, and that's a wild sentence to say out loud. While everyone's busy debating burgundy versus coffee brown titanium, the real story might be this. Apple's long-rumored custom modem project is finally maturing, and it could unlock a version of connectivity we've never had on an iPhone before. Let's break down what the leaks are suggesting, because if these iPhone 18 Pro Max rumors are true, this isn't a normal yearly refresh. This feels like a reset. So here's what's going on. For years, Apple has been working behind the scenes on its own modem, something to replace the one part of the iPhone Apple hasn't fully controlled. And now, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to ship with Apple's next-gen modem, the C2 modem. On paper, people will assume it's just better 5G, but the bigger leak isn't speed, it's reach. The talk is that the Apple C2 modem could support full 5G satellite connectivity, meaning not just emergency SOS, not just text only when you're in trouble, but actual everyday data features through satellite. Think browsing, dot messaging, maps that actually load, music streaming, basic internet tasks that normally die the second your signal bars disappear. And if you've ever driven through a dead zone on a highway, gone hiking, been on a boat, traveled through rural areas, or even just stepped into a building with terrible reception, you already know why this matters. The middle of nowhere becomes less of a problem. Mountains, covered remote highways, covered open water, potentially covered. Now, let's be clear. These are leaks and rumors, and satellite bandwidth will always have limits compared to a normal tower connection. But even a good enough version of satellite internet on iPhone changes the psychology of owning a phone. Because the idea isn't that you'll never use a carrier again, it's that, for the first time, you're not fully dependent on one, and that's the part almost nobody is talking about. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Apple is also rumored to be doing something that sounds wrong at first, especially in 2026 when every phone brand still thinks thinner automatically equals better. The iPhone 18 Pro Max may get slightly thicker, not because Apple forgot how to engineer slim phones, because Apple wants space for power. Leaks point to a massive 5200 mAh battery, potentially the biggest battery ever in an iPhone. And if you've ever owned a Pro Max, you already know battery is the reason people pick it. Not the screen size, not the status, battery life. Now imagine that same Pro Max endurance, but pushed even further. The rumors suggest this could translate to around a 30% boost in battery life. But the bigger win might not even be the raw hours. It's consistency. Because battery life isn't just about how long it lasts, it's about how it behaves when the phone is under stress, which brings us to the next major rumored upgrade, the A20 Pro chip. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected, again, based on leaks, to use an A20 Pro built on a 2nm process. And yes, 2nm sounds like marketing, until you remember what smaller processes usually mean in real life. Better efficiency, better thermals, more performance without the same heat penalty. And that heat part matters more than people admit, because one of the most annoying premium phone experiences in 2026 is still this. You're outside on a bright day, you're gaming, recording video, editing, or navigating. The phone gets warm, and then the screen dims, on its own, right when you need it brightest. If Apple actually, improves efficiency and thermal behavior here, the upgrade you notice isn't a benchmark score. It's that your iPhone stops fighting you. Picture this, you're playing a heavy console-level game at 120 frames per second. You're mid-match, no sudden brightness drop, no aggressive throttling, no. Your iPhone needs to cool down, vibe halfway through. That's what better efficiency feels like. Now, Apple doesn't just add thickness and battery space and call it a day, because the leaks suggest that extra internal room is also being used for a camera jump that's genuinely pro in the way people have been asking for. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to keep a 48-megapixel main sensor, but with a huge difference: a mechanical variable aperture, not a software portrait mode. Blur, not AI edge detection guessing what your hair is doing. Not computational blur that falls apart around glasses, hands, or messy backgrounds. Real moving hardware. A lens that physically changes aperture, reportedly shifting between around f1.4 and f2.8, more like a proper camera than a phone trying to fake it. And that matters for two big reasons. First, natural depth. When the blur is optical, it looks right. It doesn't cut out your subject. It doesn't smear fine details. It doesn't look like your phone traced you with a digital lasso tool. Second, low light. A wider aperture can pull in more light, which means cleaner night photos without needing to crank up processing so hard that everything looks artificially bright and weirdly painted. If Apple nails this, night shots could look closer to what your eyes actually see. Darker where it should be dark, detailed where it should be detailed, and not that over-processed daytime at midnight look. Now flip the iPhone around to the front. Because the next rumored change is one people have wanted since the first day the dynamic island appeared. The dynamic island may shrink significantly, around 30% smaller, thanks to Apple moving more of the Face ID system under the display. Meaning, what's left up top is closer to a tiny selfie camera cutout, rather than a big pill-shaped interruption. And that's a bigger deal than it sounds, because it changes how the whole phone feels. More content on screen, more immersive video, more all-screen identity. We've been inching toward that true full-display iPhone for years, and this sounds like another major step in that direction. And Apple isn't stopping there, because display tech is also rumored to level up with something being described as LTPO+. The leak suggests brightness could reach around 3000 nits. That is extremely bright. The kind of bright that makes outdoor visibility effortless. Maps in direct sunlight, camera framing at noon, reading text outside without squinting, but the key detail is that it's also expected to be more power efficient. So instead of the usual trade-off, brighter display means worse battery. This could be one of those rare upgrades where you get both, better outdoor visibility and better endurance. Now let's talk design, because this is the part that will probably split people. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to experiment with a frozen, translucent glass finish on the back. Not fully. Transparent like a retro gadget, not a full, clear window phone. More like frosted glass that subtly reveals hints of the internal layout. Like you can faintly see the MagSafe ring, alignment elements, and maybe even parts of the cooling structure. Under the surface, it's a different vibe, almost cyberpunk but still Apple clean. A little more personality, a little less plain slab. Some people will love it, some people will call it a gimmick. But either way, it would be a clear signal that Apple is willing to change the look and feel again, not just reshuffle materials and rename colors. And then there's a smaller detail that sounds minor, until you actually use it. The capture button. Leaks suggest Apple is redesigning it to feel more like a real camera shutter, more tactile, more durable, and possibly easier to repair. And honestly, that's the kind of upgrade that matters daily. Because if you've ever tried to take a quick photo one-handed, or start recording instantly, or use your iPhone like a real camera during travel, a better capture button changes the entire flow. It's speed, it's confidence, it's muscle memory. So when you stack all these rumored iPhone 18 Pro Max upgrades together, the picture gets pretty clear. An Apple C2 modem that could bring real satellite internet to iPhone, a 5200 mAh battery that could push Pro Max endurance to a new level, an A20 Pro 2nm chip focused on efficiency, thermals, and sustained performance, a mechanical variable aperture camera that finally brings true optical control, a smaller dynamic island with more under-display Face ID hardware, an ultra-bright LTPO Plus display around 3000 nits with better power efficiency, new translucent frosted back design that changes the iPhone's identity, and a redesigned capture button that makes the camera experience feel more real. This doesn't feel like Apple polishing the same phone again. This feels like Apple trying to redefine what an iPhone is supposed to be in the next era, where connectivity isn't guaranteed by towers, power matters more than thinness, and Pro. Camera means hardware, not just computation. Now the real question is simple. If these iPhone 18 Pro Max leaks are true, is this the upgrade that finally feels worth it? Or are you waiting for something even bigger, like the rumored foldable iPhone? Because either way, Apple's next move is about to make the smartphone world very, very interesting.